Hi, BAMers. Welcome to week 3 of BAM 479. This week you will be working on the short exercise number 2, and it concerns content that we cover in week 3 of the class. Again, we're going, as we did in short exercise 1, we're going to use the Yahoo case study, which is case 9 in the back half of the textbook. The document that you see on the screen right here is the instruction set for the short exercise 2 that I've posted in doc sharing of the class. So what we're going to do here is focus on preparing what's called an external factor evaluation matrix, or we refer to it as an EFE matrix for short. What I'd like you to do is follow the structure for your assignment, which is provided here, a 2-page paper that addresses each factor one at a time and answers the questions: why is this environmental factor key? Why does the factor carry so much weight? And why did you rate that factor the way that you did? But before we do that, I think it's important to go over how to create an EFE matrix. Now, the instructions step by step are provided in the document that's posted on the short exercise and doc sharing. I'm also going to call your attention to the lecture in week 3. If you click on the link in the lecture notes to industry analysis, the external factor evaluation matrix, you will see some instructions that are provided here that I think are also helpful in walking you through the steps. So the first step is to list key external factors for the firm that you think are important. Now, this is probably the most important point to focus on in this whole exercise, and that is to understand the difference between an internal factor and an external factor. So external factors, one way to think about this is that they happen in the external environment. And because of that, that means that not only your company, but every company in the industry is affected by these same external factors. What is special that enters into the analysis is how you think your particular company is positioned to respond to some of these forces in the external environment. But where students sometimes get caught up is confusing internal with external factors. Internal factors are something that are, if you think of the boundaries of an organization, they are inside those organizational boundaries. So internal factors are concerns such as the strength of the management, its financial position, whether or not it has any patents and so forth. Those are examples of strengths. Some weaknesses are also internal factors such as any pending lawsuits, a lack of management talent, some poor position in some of the financials, perhaps it's carrying too much debt and so forth. So those are internal factors, and that's not what we're looking at here in the EFE matrix. So the point here is to focus on anything in the external environment, and those include trends that are economic, social, cultural, demographic, environmental, political, governmental, legal, technological, or competitive, related to the competitors and the competitive environment. So, and those kind of factors are also covered in the readings and the lecture notes. So, ground 1, that's the most important. And then what you want to think of is how some of these external factors might be categorized as an opportunity or a threat. So make a list of about 10 to 20 factors that first list your factors in the external environment that you see as opportunities, and then make a list of factors that you think of as threats. So that's step one that's indicated here. Step two is to assign to each factor a weight that ranges from 0, which is not important at all, to 1, which is very important. And these weights show the relative importance of each factor so that the total of all the weights when added up should equal 1. I'm going to scroll down the page here and you'll see an example of an EFE matrix for a cinema complex. You'll notice here that there's a list of opportunities, there's a list of threats. They are all given weights, and the total weight here at the bottom sums to 1.0. So that is what you want to do in step 2. In step 3, this is where you want to consider the company's ability to respond in a way, to respond to the external environmental factors. So this is where the company enters the picture. So far, all the factors have concerned all competitors in the environment. Now, in step 3, you're going to evaluate how well postured your company is to respond to either this opportunity or threat. So you want to assign a rating of 1 to 4 to indicate how effectively the firm's current response is to each factor that you've listed, where 1 equals the poorest response, 2 is an average response, 3 is an above average response, and 4 is a superior response. So again, if I scroll down here, you'll see that these different ratings given in the rating column are going through just that process, both for opportunities and threats. Each factor is given a rating of 1 to 4 to reflect the strength of the company's response to each factor. Now the fourth step is just mechanical. What you're going to do is multiply each factor's weight by its rating to achieve a weighted score. So for instance here, for the first opportunity, the opportunity is given a weight of 0.05 and a rating of 3. So 3 multiplied by 0.05 equals 0.15. So that is the weighted score. So you go through and you do that for every single factor that you have listed in your EFE matrix. And then the final step is to sum all of the weighted scores for each variable to determine a total weighted score. So what we do is we'll sum everything in this weighted score column in both the opportunities and the threats, and we'll arrive at a total score here, which is entered at the very bottom of your EFE matrix. So the final step here is to interpret what that 2.5 score means. The total weighted score can range between 1 at the very lowest and 4 at the very highest. So a score of 1 means that the firm is very vulnerable, a score of 4 means that the firm is in a very strong position, and a score of 2.5 is average. So these are the steps that you're going to do in preparing your EFE matrix. Once you've done that, you go through and you write your paper that explains the rationales for the factors that you've come up with, the weighting that you gave them, and the rating that you gave them. Now, this narrative, you don't want to go overboard, so focus on what the most key and important factors are in that narrative discussion. So that is this concludes my explanation of how to go about preparing short exercise 2. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You take advantage of the questions forum in the course homepage. And also remember that there are some sample student projects, senior projects in Doc Sharing, and if you want to take a look over the external environmental analysis sections to see how this comes together in the final senior project, you certainly may do so. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best in preparing this short exercise.